Hey everyone, welcome back to week 5. In this video, we will be looking at sleep mastery, which is one of the essential points of your performance. As you can see, it's not Max here today, it's Gio Joachim. I'm his health and performance coach, and I'll be running you through everything you need to know about health and performance as an entrepreneur. So let's get right into it on the slides. So as you can see, sleep mastery. Here's what we're gonna cover. Why sleep and why it's important for you as an entrepreneur. Sleep chronotype and your circadian rhythm, what they are and why they're important and how to use them. Your optimal bedroom, food and exercise in relation to sleep, tracking, and 2 routines for monk-like sleep. So as always, subscribe and follow to Max, but also you can subscribe to me at Gio Joachim on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. I would really appreciate a follow. I do put a lot of work into all the videos and content I put on there. So if you could go ahead and follow me there, I would really appreciate it. As always, also share the course, super important. We're really on a revolution here, trying to change people's lives. So if you could share the course, we're all in this together. We're all a huge community. That would be absolutely awesome. Warning, this is the most important video in the entire course, so be sure to watch the entire thing. Do not skip and do not fast forward. That is very important. And pro tip, as always, watch the video in 2 times speed. So as you can see, this is me. I'm a health and performance coach in the UK. And as a health and performance coach, I help entrepreneurs resolve their health issues and improve their energy levels, productivity, and focus by optimizing their gut health, sleep, training, and nutrition. So as I say on the slides here, I am really stoked to be here, guys, to run you through the ins and outs of optimizing your performance as an entrepreneur. And it's a huge honor for me, and I cannot wait to see you all in the community. When Max asked me to do this, I couldn't say no, so I had to jump on the opportunity right away. And also just another quick reminder to go ahead and follow me on the various social platforms. I would really appreciate it. It would mean a lot to me. So let's dive right into it. Why sleep? So sleep is life. I'm not exaggerating when I say that sleep is the most crucial aspect of our health. There is not a single function in the human body that isn't directly correlated to the quality of your sleep. If you sleep less than 7 to 9 hours a night, every single part of your body will work less efficiently. Most importantly, your mind. This is incredibly important. There is literally not, as I say in that bullet point, a single thing in your entire body that will not work at a lower efficiency rate if you are sleep deprived. If you are sleep deprived, everything in your body will start to deteriorate. The specific utility for entrepreneurs. Sleeping under 7 to 9 hours a night leads to a sharp decline in cognitive function, stress tolerance, focus, work productivity, memory, creativity, mood, absolutely everything. And you'll also get an increase in brain fog, anxiety, depression, microsleeps, procrastination, and so much more. I put in microsleeps there because I think it's interesting for you guys to know that even when you are sleep deprived, your brain will force itself to essentially sleep for a couple seconds. So this is when you find yourself, bobbing your head up and down when you're feeling really tired and really sleepy. That is your body's telling you that it needs some sleep. And that can be very deteriorating to your work productivity. If you're in a work block trying to get it done, but your brain is just trying to get itself to fall asleep because you've sleep deprived it. So that's super important to keep in mind, and super important that you start prioritizing your sleep as an entrepreneur. The next thing is, you are not the exception. You may be thinking, well, this doesn't apply to me. I do just fine on 6 hours of sleep. Well, I hate to break it to you, but studies have shown that the odds of a person being genetically capable of functioning optimally on 6 hours of sleep is 1 in 4 million. And the number of people that can function optimally on 5 hours of sleep or less is 0. There is not a single person who can do that. So there are, genetic anomalies who can function on 6 hours of sleep. However, this is not, you are likely not that person. It is 1 in 4 million. And the odds of that are very small, as you can see. So please do not tell me, well, it doesn't apply to me. I do just fine on 6 hours of sleep. If you are that genetic anomaly, I commend you. However, I would highly doubt it, and I would bet my life savings that you are not. Simply put, your brain is the engine of your business, and your health is the foundation. Bad sleep, bad health, bad business. This, again, all comes down to the idea of energy. At the end of the day, mastering your sleep will improve your mental and physical energy, which will make you a truly unstoppable entrepreneur on your mission. So here's what we've done with Max's sleep. So Max's sleep prior to working together was not bad at all by any means. But around after 60 days of working together, his sleep is consistently perfect, and his performance and focus have also risen. As you can see, his total sleep duration was down. His REM sleep was down as a result. His deep sleep wasn't, optimal. It wasn't where it could have been. And his efficiency was fine, but his restfulness was poor, and his timing was off a lot of the time. However, we dialed in everything, and as you can see on the right, he's getting sleep scores. This is on Oura, by the way, Oura Ring. He's getting sleep scores of 90 consistently, with his sleep duration, definitely up, but his REM sleep, his sleep efficiency, his deep sleep, his restfulness, his timing, everything has been dialed into a T. So now he's consistently performing better due to his sleep. As you can see here, this is also a depiction of his monthly overview of his sleep, just to show that it's not just one-off results. This is in fact a very consistent rise and a consistent improvement that we have seen with Max's sleep over the 3 months that we've been working together. So let's dive into the first point, which is sleep chronotype and circadian rhythm. Why your chronotype is important. Think of your chronotype as your genetic identity. It essentially dictates whether you're a morning person or a nighttime person. To perform at your best, you should sleep accordingly to your chronotype. So for example, if you are a person who is genetically sort of more wired to want to sleep later in the night and wake up later in the day, this isn't necessarily a problem. Society has told us that it's a problem, but it's not a problem. If that is indeed your sort of genetic predisposition, then that's absolutely fine. But you must adhere to that, and you must stick to the same sleep times every single day. So how to discover your sleep chronotype? There are a couple ways in which you can discover your chronotype. Number one, you can guess, and I can ask you this one simple question, which is, if you were to live on an island and you had absolutely no reason to wake up the next day, there was no responsibilities for you to do so at all, what time would you go to bed and what time would you wake up? That would give you a very good understanding of, generally where you are in terms of your sleep chronotype. And secondly, you can take a short quiz, which I've linked on the next slide, and I'll show you the page 2 shortly. How to implement your chronotype for peak circadian rhythm. Now, 2 things to break down before I break down this bullet point. Different chronotypes are essentially if you're either a wolf, a bear, a lion, or a dolphin. And your circadian rhythm, I might have mentioned it earlier in this slide. If you don't know what that is, it's essentially your internal body clock. This determines when you are most energetic, when you are most tired, when you should be sleeping, when you should be awake, and it is dictated by various hormonal and chemical systems within your brain and body. But essentially one of the main points is your bedtime and your wake-up time. So if we look at if you are a bear, this is most people. You would like to sleep at 11 p.m. and wake up at 7 a.m. And as I mentioned earlier, if you are a bear, let's say, or if you are a dolphin, you are a wolf, you must stick to your sleep and wake times as much as possible, every single day, including weekends. I don't care if you go out, I don't care if you go to the club, it is incredibly important to stay consistent to these sleep and wake times, and specifically the wake time. So if you do miss your sleep time, you must wake up at the same time every single day, plus or minus, half an hour to an hour. Then we look at wolf. If you're a wolf, you typically sleep at midnight and you wake up at 8 a.m. If you're a lion, you sleep at 9 p.m. and wake up at 5 a.m. So you're an early riser. And if you're a dolphin, sleep and wake times will be, pretty random. Now, these are just 4 of the examples. There are more, types in there. There are going to be some people who are extreme early risers who want to go to bed, much earlier and wake up much earlier. But there are also extreme late night people or late night owls, if you want to call them, who sleep at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning and wake up, far later in the mid morning. And that's fine. But the importance is that you stick to your sleep and wake up time, and that your sleep quality doesn't suffer as a result. And lastly, caffeine. Avoid caffeine for the first 2 hours after waking. This is incredibly important, and it has to do with caffeine's relationship with adenosine. Adenosine is one of the chemicals in your brain that dictates how tired and how sleepy you feel. It is essentially the sleep pressure in your brain. So essentially, as the day goes forward, you start to feel more tired, you start to feel very sleepy. That is adenosine building up in your brain, and once you sleep, it is flushed out of your brain at night. However, at times, and most of the time, not all the adenosine has been flushed out of your brain, so you'll wake up and there'll still be some adenosine left that has to be dissipated. If you drink caffeine, caffeine will essentially bind to that adenosine, holding that in there. So when the caffeine wears off, you'll have a larger rush of adenosine coming through. So you want to avoid that by not drinking caffeine for the first 2 hours after you wake up. This will allow for more constant energy levels throughout the day, and will essentially get rid of that sort of mid-morning, early afternoon energy crash that you may feel. You should also avoid caffeine 10 to 12 hours before bed. This is because caffeine's quarter life, which is essentially how long it takes for a chemical to dissipate in potency by a quarter or to a quarter of its full potency, is 10 to 12 hours before bed. It's 10 to 12 hours. So you want to avoid that 10 to 12 hours before bed. That is very, very important. This will keep your daily energy stable and will allow you to have the best possible sleep. So here is the link to the chronotype test that I mentioned earlier, so I'll take you over there now. So here is the sleep chronotype test by Dr. Michael Brouse, I think is how you pronounce his last name. So he's one of the sort of sleep researchers in the space. And you can go ahead and take the quiz and you'll find out whether you're a wolf, bear, lion or dolphin, and you'll get recommendations based upon that, I believe, below the quiz once you get your results. So definitely go ahead and take this test. Moving on now to your optimal bedroom. Your optimal bedroom comes down to a few main factors, and this is the first one: temperature. The temperature of your environment is key towards your sleep quality. Optimal temperatures for sleep are between 16 to 20 degrees Celsius or 61 to 68 Fahrenheit for you Americans out there. It is better to be slightly cold than to be slightly hot. This will ensure that you fall asleep and stay asleep throughout the night. This is because in order to fall asleep, your body's internal temperature actually has to drop by 1 to 2 degrees. And so if your body is too hot and cannot make that drop in temperature, you'll find it very difficult to sleep at night and to stay asleep. So if your room is too hot, do try these. Keep a window open, use a fan, use an AC, or if you want to invest in something, look into an 8-sleep mattress cover, which is something you put over your mattress, and it allows you to program the temperature of your bed. So throughout the night, you can have your bed decreasing in temperature very slightly and then rising in temperature in the morning to wake you up naturally. So that is also a very, very good option there for you to try. And yes, just to reiterate the point that it is very crucial that it's better to be slightly cold than to be slightly hot. If you are slightly hot, it's going to decrease your sleep quality. However, being slightly cold may improve your sleep quality in many aspects. But if you are too cold, you will also have diminishing effects and you will also have a pretty bad night of sleep. So make sure you find a healthy balance for you. Next is light. Your bedroom must be as dark as possible when sleeping. Try to use blackout shutters. However, if these are not available, an eye mask is a decent alternative. This will increase your deep and REM sleep. So this is also, one of probably the two main factors is temperature and light. And if your room has lights coming in from the outside, maybe you live in a very sort of bright, lively city, blackout shutters or blackout blinds are going to be very good options to look to implement into your house and into your room to keep all light out at least as much as possible. And then you also want to have an eye mask if this is not possible. The reason I say it's a decent alternative and not a great or a perfect alternative is because many people think that your eyes is the only receptive part of your body towards light, when in fact it's not. Your entire body is actually receptive and sensitive to light. So it's important to understand that if you do get an eye mask, it's not a fail-proof solution, but it's definitely a decent solution that's going to improve your sleep in certain aspects. Then we look at furniture. You want to clear your room from as much clutter as possible. This is so that your subconscious mind can relax as much as possible, allowing for the best sleep. The less you can have in your bedroom, the better. So I want you to think about it like this. If a piece of furniture is not incredibly essential to be in your room, I want you to get it out. Find a way to put it in another room or just get rid of it completely. The reason for this is because you want your room to be as clear as possible. You want to have no mental stimulation whatsoever so that you can go ahead and get to bed. And you want your sort of subconscious mind to be able to fully relax in your room, and the clearer and more minimalistic your room is, the better it is going to be able to do that. Then also sound is another factor you want to take into account. You want to ensure a completely quiet environment to ensure maximal deep and REM sleep. And technology, this follows the same principles as furniture. The less technology, the less distraction before sleep. The less distraction, the better your deep and REM sleep. This will also decrease the level of blue light you take in before bed, which will allow for better REM sleep as well, as blue light, or a lot of blue light before bed, is a REM sleep inhibitor and a melatonin inhibitor. So you won't be able to get to sleep as well, and your REM sleep will suffer as a result. So kind of to build off another point I made there, you'll be less distracted and less tempted to use your devices before sleep or your technology. So if you have a TV in your room, for example, you'll be tempted to watch some Netflix. If you have a computer, you'll be tempted to do some work. If you have your phone, you'll be tempted to scroll on Instagram, whatever it may be. So ensure that you are not using your phone, or you don't have any technology in your room, so you're not tempted to do so right before you're about to get to bed. for the two reasons I mentioned there. Number one, mental stimulation, so your mind can calm down as much as possible, relax in order to get to sleep, but also so that you avoid blue light at all costs. Food and exercise and its relation to sleep. When looking at food, it is essential that you avoid heavy meals or food in general 2 to 3 hours prior to sleeping. This is because it will significantly decrease your deep and REM sleep, making your sleep lighter and less effective. You may feel groggy when waking up as a result. And exercise as well. You do not want to work out or do any intense exercise in the 3 hours before bed. This will have very similar effects as eating before bed to your sleep quality, but it will also make it harder to fall asleep as it raises your cortisol levels. And cortisol is essentially the stress hormone in your body. When that is high, it is much harder for you to fall asleep, naturally, because your body wants to be relaxed when sleeping and not in a stress state. And then your cortisol, as a result, then rises in the morning because you want to be awake, you want to be alert. But it is very important that in the 3 hours before bed, you have that as a sacred period to wind down optimally to get to sleep. So avoiding food and intense exercise is incredibly crucial. And also alcohol and drugs. Two misconceptions are that weed and alcohol help you to get to sleep. However, I cannot stress this enough, this is not the case. These are sedatives, not sleep inducers. Sedation is not the same as sleep. They are also REM sleep inhibitors, meaning that they restrict your REM sleep, which as a result will decrease your mental health and cognitive function. So this is very important to stress on, which is why I want to reiterate this point. Alcohol and weed are not sleep inducers. They are sedatives. And sedation, as I mentioned here, is not sleep. When you're asleep, your brain actually has a lot of activity going on in it. And there's a lot of very important and crucial processes to your mental function and to also your physical function that you get when you're asleep that you simply do not get when you are sedated. So it is very important to understand that. You feeling sleepy and tired as a result of smoking weed or drinking alcohol is not you getting ready to have a fulfilling bout of sleep. That's the main points I want you to take away from that. It's very, very important. Because there is this misconception that, you drink a few glasses of wine before bed, you'll have a good night's sleep, or you'll, people smoke a blunt or smoke a joint before sleep and it helps them get to sleep. It doesn't actually help you get to sleep, it helps you get into a sedative state, which is being unconscious, but being unconscious is not exactly the same as being asleep. Moving on to tracking. Tracking devices. There are two main tracking devices that I use/recommend due to their quality, and that we have used for Max's sleep. An Oura Ring and a Whoop Band. So here I have both of Max's sleep trackers. He has an Oura Ring right here, which you may have seen on his Instagram stories, you may have seen it on his Instagram posts and whatnot. This is this one that is always on his hand. So you may have seen that before, and this is the primary tracker we use for his sleep. But there's also his Whoop Band that I've got here that he wears on his arm that we started using not long ago. That has been incredibly effective at tracking his physical recovery, but also his mental recovery when it comes to his sleep. And they both track similar metrics in terms of sleep quality, in terms of REM sleep, deep sleep, how much time he's spending awake, his restfulness, and how many times he's waking up during the night, which is incredibly important to assess, along with his heart rate. There's tons and tons of metrics that they track that are incredibly important for optimizing his performance as an entrepreneur. So as I mentioned, the Oura Ring comes as a ring that you wear snug on your finger, and it tracks your sleep, meditations, activity, and so much more. And the Whoop strap is a strap that you wear on your arm and tracks your sleep and body recovery. So as you can see here, we have a discount link for you guys here on Whoop, so I'll take you over there right now. So here's the Whoop website. As you can see, you can go ahead and get a Whoop and start tracking your sleep and recovery as well. This is incredibly important for making sure that everything is dialed in, because you may think you're getting an awesome night of sleep, but you don't actually know until you start tracking with a reliable tracker like one of these two options here. We have also, what I've put together for you guys, is a health tracker where you can track your sleep metrics in the same way that we do for Max. So you can see month on month the improvements that you are making with your sleep, and also other health metrics as well, like your body weight. So I'm going to take you over there now and run you through how it works and what you can expect. So as you can see here, this is the health tracker that I've put together for you guys, and it's very similar to the one that I use with Max and all of my clients. Here you can see the main dashboard, which has the primary sort of metrics that you want to be looking at, like your REM sleep, your deep sleep, your sleep performance, which is essentially the score that Whoop gives you. On Oura Ring, it's called Sleep Score. and your sleep duration every single day. And so this is connected to these individual pages. This is an annual summary of the averages by month, and then these are the individual places where you'll put in your daily metrics. So for example, what I've done is I've put some random numbers into here, onto January 1st and February 1st, so I can show you how this all works. So assuming you wake up at, you sleep at 10 p.m., you wake up at 7 a.m., you sleep 9 hours with 90% efficiency, 74 restfulness, 8 minutes of latency, awake time, you're awake for 35 minutes, you get 4 hours and 20 minutes of light sleep, no pun intended there for the 420, 1 hour and a half of REM sleep, 1 hour 45 of deep sleep, 85 HRV, 80 sleep score, 85 sleep performance. And then you got your body weight, workout, whatever. So we just could put a whole random numbers there, and I've copied them into February 1st as well. And what that will show you is that links to this page where you can see your annual scores. So once you do this for a couple of years, you'll be able to see how you improve from year on year, but you will also see your dashboard, which will show you month on month how that is physically changing. So let's say in your deep sleep from January to February increases, but then it decreases in March. So you maybe discover what went on there, and you can use this to really dial in your performance. So another example that you could do is, let's say today it's October the 31st, I believe. You would go in here and you can just put in your metrics every single day. You get that from your Whoop app. Or if you use an Oura Ring from your Oura app, you might need to change some of these columns if you do have an Oura Ring. But the only reason that I've put the sort of more Whoop tailored statistics is because we have a discount code for you guys from Whoop, so that may be useful for you guys to try out. And now we can just head back to the slides and carry on with our scheduled programming. So moving on from the health tracker, you have 2 routines for monk-like sleep. And I do want to stress this as much as I physically can. The nighttime routine and morning routine that we implemented for Max were maybe 2 of the primary things that affected and influenced his sleep the most. Once we did this, his sleep quality went through the roof. Morning routine. This you can have more variety with. There's not so much that you want to focus on your morning routine in terms of how it relates to your sleep, but there is one very important thing. And the most important thing to do in the morning is to get outside for at least 10 minutes every single morning to set your circadian rhythm for optimal sleep the next night. Going for a walk will also boost your energy levels, and this is a very positive way to start the day. Getting outside and seeing the rising sun, and I cannot stress this enough, is probably one of the most crucial things that you can do for your sleep quality. Seeing the rising sun, and getting outside and getting the natural light first thing in the morning will set the relevant neural pathways that you need to fall asleep later on in the day or later on that night. And we'll set them in place and essentially boost your circadian rhythm, allowing you to fall asleep faster, but also to get more effective sleep. So your circadian rhythm is influenced by a large variety of factors, but including in that is the external factors of your daily life. And if you have 2 anchor points where you see the rising sun and you see the setting sun, your body knows exactly what time it is in the day and knows exactly what it should be doing. So after you've seen the rising sun and then you've seen the setting sun, okay, your body immediately knows it's time to fall asleep. So you'll get far more effective sleep that way. Now moving on to your nighttime routine. The Laurel framework is what I've broken it down to, and you can look at this as light manipulation, which is dimming the lights in your environment as much as possible 3 hours before bed or around sunset, and exposing yourself to as much warm light as possible during this time. This can be done with Himalayan salt lamps or candles. Very, very important to dim the lights. This is, for multiple reasons. One, you want to avoid bright overhead lights because of the fact that will decrease the amount of melatonin your brain can produce, and thus decreasing your efficiency of falling asleep. But also when you are asleep, it's going to decrease how much REM sleep you get, and deep sleep for that matter as well. And having that 3-hour sort of cool down period where your brain can understand, okay, it's time to get to sleep, lights are getting darker, almost simulating the setting sun. This is very important for the best quality sleep that you can get. And another thing I mentioned here is exposing yourself to as much warm light as possible during this time. I say that this can be done with Himalayan salt lamps or candles. This can also be done with Philip Hue bulbs that you can program to show red light. Any kind of warm red, orange light that you can have, candles, Himalayan salt lamps that you can buy relatively cheaply on Amazon are great things that you can do there. Then you want to look at avoiding work. So you want to cut off all work 2 to 3 hours before bed, and this is extremely important. you want to give yourself time to cool down. Work can be quite a stressful thing, and it can get your mind stimulating, especially as an entrepreneur, where our work is often very creative. And this can be good. However, we do not want our mind to be stimulated and to be running wild 2 to 3 hours before bed, because this is a time we want to calm down and we want to prepare for an optimal day of work the next day. And you may think, oh, but I'm super busy, I need to do this thing. You know what, I'll work until I go to sleep. However, you're sacrificing 2-3 hours of work for a poorer day of work the next day. Because if you just take away those 2 hours, allow yourself to wind down properly, give yourself that time away, which will in turn allow you to recover better and allow you to have better sleep, you will have a far better overall day the next day, and then the next day, and then the next day, allowing you for a longer period of time of better quality work. But if we look at the other scenario where you're constantly sacrificing your sleep and you're working late into the night, rather than giving yourself a very good time to cool down and get ready for bed, your overall productivity will be less, because although you're working more hours, you won't be as focused, you won't be as concentrated, you won't be as sunk into your work. And so this will be very difficult for you to keep up with those who are actually prioritizing their sleep. And part of doing that is avoiding your work 2 to 3 hours before bed. Then you want to relax, so you want to do something light and entertaining to ease your mind away from the stresses of work. Again, this goes back to the topic of calming down and just relaxing and just winding down before bed. Then your environment, I want you to think of this as everything put together. So you want to start to avoid your work. You want to decrease the light coming into your environment. So you want to dim all the lights. You want to start to relax everything. You want to avoid food as well. All these things are incredibly important, and this is your environment all put together. Learning. So studies have shown that your brain retains more information if you sleep after a bout of learning. So before bed is a great time to do some light learning. I don't want you to try to learn about quantum physics or anything incredibly difficult that you're going to be sitting there scratching your head trying to figure it out, but it is important to do some light learning. Maybe some language study, maybe just reading an interesting business book that isn't too complicated. And this will be a great way to really retain as much information as possible while doing something enjoyable and relaxing before bed. So here I've also put together for you guys a sort of Laral PDF which breaks this down in deeper detail and also looks at a bedroom optimization checklist where you can go into your bedroom with this in hand and check off all the bullet points to make sure if you are doing and optimizing your bedroom in the best way for sleep. So I'll take you over there right now. So as you guys can see here, this is the Laral and bed optimization PDF. I'm going to run you through this, which talks about what we just talked about in more detail. So as you can see here, Laral can be broken down as light manipulation, avoiding work, relaxing, environment, learning, and the like. And I mentioned here how your perfect wind down routine actually starts in the morning. So this routine, which is an example of everything put together that I want to show you guys, assumes that you sleep at 10:30 and wake up at 7. 7 to 7:20, you want to be outside getting your morning sunlight. As soon as you wake up, you want to get outside and get your morning sunlight. This is the most important thing to do as soon as you wake up. Then we fast forward 12 hours, you've had your day of work, you had a productive day. And at 7, you want to start having your last meal. You don't want to eat a big meal past 7 to 7:30 because you're going to be sleeping 3 hours from then. So you want to give your body time to digest. Then at 8 p.m., you want to switch off. So no more work. And then you want to dim the lights and expose yourself to as much red light as possible, or warm light for another term. So you can use candles, as I mentioned, Himalayan salt lamps, anything that is a very warm tone of light. At 8 p.m., you also want to start relaxing with loved ones, maybe watching some entertainment, some light TV, nothing too stimulating, and you want to make sure that you're not doing this in bed. You want your bed to be a place that is sacred for just sleep and sex. Those are the two things, sleep and sex. Your body quickly starts to associate your bed with other things. So if you start working from bed, or you start watching TV in bed or taking phone calls from bed, your body starts to associate your bed with a place of being awake, not a place of being asleep. So this is very important that you stay out of your bed when you are doing these things. 9 p.m., further relaxation. Here you're doing some reading, nothing too challenging, maybe some meditation. And also the important thing is you also stay away from blue light as much as possible. So here, whilst we were doing some light entertainment, watching maybe some TV, maybe some YouTube, Here you want to avoid it as much as possible, and you want to be reading a book and, as I said, avoiding blue light. Another thing that I would like you to do in this period from 8 p.m. When you're in sort of the dimming lights period, is to wear a pair of blue light blockers. So that is incredibly important, because that will block out all the blue light that you are seeing, which will, essentially not defeat the purpose. Because if you've got all your environments dimmed with all the lights, dimmed as much as you can, you've got Himalayan salt lamps, candles, everything giving you warm light, but then you're watching a bright TV screen without wearing your blue light blockers, that will be very damaging, and that will kind of be counterproductive to the work you're trying to do. So wear some blue light blockers in this phase. And then, as I mentioned, you'll be reading from around 9 to 10, being away from blue light as much as possible, and then around 10:15 to 10:30, you will fall asleep. So as I mentioned earlier, I broke down here the L'Oreal framework. So light manipulation includes your morning sun, dimming your lights, having the red light, using blue light blockers, avoiding work, obviously you switch off, no more work. Relaxing, different options there. Environment, so this includes the light, the food, essentially everything that we've spoken about combined into one. And learning, reading, watching documentaries, etc., etc. So here's also a bedroom optimization checklist that I've made for you guys. So you can go ahead, look at these 5 factors or features of your bedroom, and you can go ahead and optimize your bedroom according to these. So you look at the temperature. Is your bedroom warm? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it too chilly? Is it, what's the temperature in your room? And then you can adjust as a result. You look at the light. Is it dark when you close the blinds, when you're asleep? Is there ways you can improve the lighting? Technology, make sure you get all technology out of your room, TVs, laptops, computers, as much as you can, try and get those out of your room. Furniture, again, if there's a piece of furniture in there that doesn't need to be there, or that you don't use, or it doesn't have a specific function, get it out of your room. It does no benefit being in your room, and it actually only takes away from the quality of your sleep. And fifth and final point is sound. Make sure your room is as quiet as possible. So that breaks down the bedroom optimization checklist, and we can head back to the slides where we can keep going with this information. So we broke down L'Oreal, and now we will be moving on. This is a quick link where you can go buy a salt lamp. So I'll take you guys over there now. This is an example of a Himalayan salt lamp that you can buy pretty cheap on Amazon. You get a few of those, put them around your house, put them around your room, whatever it may be, just put them around your environment, and you will have a sort of very good source of warm light to have your room and environment as dim as possible, with as much red light as possible, to stimulate as much melatonin production in your brain, which will allow you to sleep better. So that's awesome. So definitely go ahead and purchase that. And moving on from the salt lamp, we get on to the summary. Number 1 is your sleep chronotype. So these are action items that I want you to do for today. I want you to take the test, find your chronotype, and stick to whatever wake up and sleep times you get every single day. It is so important. I want to stress this enough, and I want to be strict with you guys. You cannot just be, from Monday to Friday, stick to your wake up times, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. But then on the weekend, you go out and you wake up at midday. You sleep at 3, 4 a.m., you wake up at midday. Or, and you do that on Saturday, Sunday, and then you expect to go back on Monday to Friday, back to your sleep times. That's not how it works. Your circadian rhythm, your body doesn't understand what the weekend is. The weekend is a completely arbitrary thing that we made up as society. There is no such thing as the weekend. Your body doesn't understand it. Your body understands a day is a day, and the night will come, the morning will come, the sun will rise and the sun will set. It understands when that happens as well. And if you throw your body off by sleeping it and waking up at different times, it will have no understanding of when those functions are happening. And so as a result, the internal functions in your body that are supposed to happen at the same time won't happen as well or as efficiently as they should. So it is very important that you stick to your wake up times and your sleep times every single day. Now, if you do happen to miss your sleep time, let's say you did get it caught up with work, there was something that you couldn't change, and you don't have a choice. What I will say is, you want to stick to your wake up time, even if you miss your sleep time. Let's say you're supposed to sleep at 11, but you only get to sleep at 12:30. It is very important that you still wake up at 7. Yes, you will still, you will have a shorter night of sleep. Your sleep won't be good. You will be sleep deprived for the next day. But it is very important that you do that so that the next day you can stick to your sleep time and get to sleep at the same time that you should. But if you, let's say for example, you miss your sleep time by a couple hours, and then you wake up a few hours later to compensate, you won't be as tired and you'll be throwing off your circadian rhythm, so you won't be able to sleep and fall asleep as efficiently the next day. So it's very important. If you miss your sleep time, All you got to do is wake up at the same time or close to the same time every single day. Do not exceed it by an hour. So if your sleep time is 7 a.m., do not wake up any later than 8 a.m. On any day if you can help it. So secondly, your sleep environment. I want you to download the Lorel PDF and optimize your bedroom by following the checklist. And follow the sleep checklist and optimize your bedroom accordingly. Number 3 is your tracking. I want you to purchase a Whoop band and download the tracking sheet that I have provided for you guys and start tracking your sleep every single day. Number 4 is routines. Using the Lorel PDF as well, set up your personal nighttime routine and stick to it every single day. So what I've given you guys is a framework. I want you to take that and alter it to your own personal life. Look at what activities you might want to do when, and set it up in a way that will allow you to have the best sleep possible, but also a routine that you can enjoy and you can look forward to after a long day of work. So as always, subscribe and follow to Max and his channel, but also to me and my social pages. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. I put a lot of effort into the content, as I said earlier. So please do go ahead and follow me on there. I would really, really appreciate it. And I'll be sharing tons of content on performance and health optimization as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, but also as a person in general. So go ahead and follow me on there. As you can see, my handle is Gio Joachim on most social platforms. YouTube, it's just first name, last name. And then Instagram, Twitter, I believe it's all the same handle. There is also my newsletter that you can sign up to, so go to giojoachim.com. As you can see, my logo is plastered everywhere. So go ahead and sign up to my newsletter. You'll get my Sleep Mastery Blueprint, which will give you a checklist of how to optimize your sleep. But also, you'll get quality weekly emails from me of more in-depth format on how you can go ahead and improve your sleep and performance from a bunch of different aspects, looking at sleep, training, nutrition, gut health, absolutely everything, mental performance, productivity. So if you follow me on there and sign up to my newsletter, you'll be getting all of those goodies for free. As always, go ahead and share the course. It is super important. We need you to keep this going. The course has been growing at an immense rate. It's been incredible to see. So definitely go ahead and keep sharing the course. Let's start a revolution and keep changing people's lives together. So I want to leave you with this final quote. Sleep is the Swiss Army knife of health. When sleep is deficient, there is sickness and disease. And when sleep is abundant, there is vitality and health. Matthew Walker. Or Dr. Matthew Walker, is one of the lead sleep researchers from University of California, Berkeley, and his work is absolutely incredible, and I love all the work he does. And I think that is an incredible quote that he has given you there. So, when sleep is deficient, there is sickness and there is disease. And when sleep is abundant, there is vitality and health. So it is incredibly important to understand. So guys, let's get to work. Let's crush it.